River Railroad. Why they didn't do G.
this. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to rumble?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Model Railroading Live for June 10th, 2020, a Wednesday evening. This is Model Railroading Live, the #1 model railroading show in the world. And we want to thank you for tuning in. I hope everything in your part of the country is doing well. I hope you guys are getting back to some normalcy of everyday living, whatever that will be. But here in New York City, we are in phase 1 of returning back to whatever being arrogant New Yorkers. We're going to try to be arrogant New Yorkers again. So come on down for the visit. You know, we'd love to have you and stuff like that. Well, here we are. This is Model Railroading Live, and I'm Big Bill, and my show is called Who's Big Bill Talking To? In about a minute, we're going to get to my guest. But before that, I have homework I got to do. Homework, totally important, totally important. Let's see, this Saturday, the 13th of June, we're going to continue in the series of building the Empire Model Railroad. I'm sorry, my mind is working faster than my mouth. Railroad Empires, How We Build Them. That's with Lloyd, Andrew, Tim. Who else am I missing? Robert Holman. Big component, 4 guys. They're each going to do a round robin on their layout. And this week's subject is a track, John? We have no idea what they're doing, but they're doing a great job. Great job. They really are. It's the Railroad Empires, How We Build Them, with Lloyd, Andy, Timothy, and Robin. They're going to be continuing this series. It's a 10-part series. It's every other Saturday. They're going to be on this Saturday, let's see, on the 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then after that, we have Ralph Weathering. That's Ralph, a.k.a. the Mudfather, on the 17th of June, at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All the times for Model Railroading Live, the #1 show in the world, is 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But Ralph's Weathering will take place on June 17th at 9 p.m. as well, and he'll be getting into some weathering. I don't know what he's doing, but I'd like to shout out to him and say, Ralph, get better soon. I know he hurt his back, and he's been under the weather with it, and hurting your back is not a pretty thing. You know, get well soon, and I hope you guys are comfortably. Then after that, the 17th, the 18th, we go to Johnny's Train Talk Show. Johnny's doing it every other week in the summertime to give him a little bit of a break, a little respite from doing it every week. But he'll be on the 18th of June at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's where you, the modeler, can come down, just like we're sitting here in this open forum. If you have a webcam, good internet, computer, laptop with a camera, you can join in too. You can bring and brag. Anything you're working on, anything you want to show off. And if there's anything that's going on, such as, you know, electrical, computer-wise, how to run a chain, questions about JMRI, a host of questions, you can bring that onto the Q&A as well and join in with that, and just come on down to Johnny's Train Talk Show, down to the general store there, and pull up a chair, pull a soda pop out of the ice box, and sit down and around the checkerboard and talk model railroading. So that will be on the 18th of June at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on the 24th, you have me, Big Bill. And who's Big Bill talking to? I'll be talking to James Adams of RailroadModelBackdrops.com. He does backdrops for model railroads, obviously, hence the name, Model Railroad Backdrops. But James Adams will be on our show, on my show, Who's Big Bill Talking To? As you know, James Adams was supposed to be on originally a couple of weeks ago, and we didn't have him on. He didn't come because he had a major thunderstorm down where he lives in this part of the country in Tennessee, and it knocked out everything until 9 a.m. the next morning. He couldn't even get us on the cell phone or landline. to let us know, which we're glad it was just that and nothing more or nothing serious than that. So that's it for the announcements. Now it's Who's Big Bill Talking To, and I'm going to introduce my guest. But before I introduce my guest, I have a big shout out. Big shout out to 3 people out there. I want to say hello to John's wife, Leslie. If you're watching, hello, Leslie. Thank you so much for having your husband be on this and taking time away from the family and everything, and greatly appreciate it. And to his 2 children, Morgan and William. Okay, guys? Giving you a shout out here on Model Railroading Live, the #1 show in model railroading in the world. So Morgan, William, Leslie, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining, and we're going to have a good time with Dad, John Arthur. John, thank you so much for being a part of this show. I don't know why I'm yelling, because you obviously can hear me.
Hey, well, thank you for having me on. I'm glad to be here, and I just heard yelling downstairs. I think they heard you.
Okay, good for them. Good. I'm glad they're tuning in and stuff like that. So, John, you're not new to the hobby, but you're pretty new to YouTube model building and model railroading and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've been following a lot of guys for a couple of years, and only recently put my first video up maybe a month or 6 weeks ago, something like that. Kind of on a whim, with COVID affecting everybody, and my father and I were operating together, and he couldn't come up anymore because of COVID. So I shot an operations video, and it was way too big to send to him. So I put it on YouTube, and I guess some other people saw it, and Uncle Wilmer picked it up and gave me a shout out on Not Bad. And so now a couple of people have, seen me and seen what I'm doing, and they seem interested. So I've started making more videos, having fun with it. Definitely learned a ton from a lot of really good modelers out there on YouTube. So, I don't pretend to be in their league, but I'm happy to be in the conversation with them and, share what I'm doing.
Yeah. And what's the name of your YouTube channel?
It's just my name, just John Arthur.
John Arthur. Now, John, I don't want to with the other YouTubers out there, model railroaders that are watching, I don't want you to embarrass them with you. But how many subscribers do you have?
I think it's 42.
42?
42, yeah.
42. Guys, come on. John Arthur, YouTube channel. Come on, crank that switch. Hit that subscribe button and hit that.
Yeah, you tell them.
That's it. Hit that subscribe button and hit that thing. So now you do, Human City Junction, 43 now.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you, Human City. Heath. Brad LeBrac, 44.
Look at that.
Look at this. Let's just sit here. We don't say anything. Let's just sit here.
Yeah.
And Michael Lambertini says 44 now, maybe 45 now, but anyway. So, John, you got into this model railroading. Let me just write this down because some people. John Arthur. That's the name of your channel. I'm putting it out there. It's under my wife's name, Georgianne Graham, because I'm using her phone, but that's the name of his channel. Okay, guys? Go ahead, do what you do best. Now, John, you got into this model railroading. Now, was this through your dad or through your you were telling me earlier that your dad was an armchair modeler.
He is. Sorry, Dad. No, but both my dad and my grandpa. Back as far as I can remember, as a little kid, staying at my grandma and grandpa's house, they had grandpa had O-gauge, and it ran between 2 different rooms, and he had a power pack in each room, and we'd have a ball for hours sending trains back and forth, and we were really just running them. There was no operations. It was just watching trains go around, but I was hooked at a young age, and I had a couple other cousins get into it after me too, with grandpa. So that's kind of where it started. It's probably true for a lot of guys.
Oh, yeah, sure. And he had an O gauge Lionel kind of train.
Yeah, it was three rail O gauge, a lot of Lionel stuff. He also had some of the more scale stuff that ran on three rail, and then inside one of the loops in one of the rooms, he had HO kind of up on a little bit of a hill, for perspective. But I always enjoyed running that as well. And then as a probably middle school age kid, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, somewhere in there, I had an N scale layout. My first layout on my own. It was on a hollow corridor. I got to a fairly decent level of scenery done. And I was telling you about a kitten earlier that we've just got, but we had my folks adopted one, and she liked to get up on the table, and all the trees I had just spent all summer building were the best little toys for her. So I've seen her stripping the mountain I had spent all summer on of all the little trees, and then I think at that age you kind of get interested in sports and girls and whatever else, and that layout eventually went to the dump. Teenage years go by, college goes by, and I got my first house and started an HO layout. At that point, I sold whatever N scale stuff I had left. I didn't want to be only able to find 10% of the market. I wanted to have everything. I wanted to be in the scale that had everything, and so I switched to HO and had a layout there. We moved, had a couple of kids, moved again. So that layout is no more, but I still kept all the locomotives and everything. And that's what started here, 2 or 3 years ago now.
Cool. And I actually, and big shout out to Uncle Wilma.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Wilma showcased John Arthur's channel on his, and that's how I came about coming, because Wilma does all the heavy lifting for me, and does all the research of finding model railroaders on YouTube. And I came across your channel, and I was like really intrigued how you were going about building it and doing everything that you were doing. And I was like, wow, this is really interesting. I actually thought you had a bigger layout than you actually showed. And then when you drew back from it and then said, I said, wow, that was a little deceiving. But it was good content. It was good content. It kept, it did. It's like, it's nice to see you. It's nice to see somebody building a layout. And it's also nice to see, what's the word? I guess is the humility, not humiliation of like screwing things up, but the humble.
That'll come.
This hobby does reduce us sometimes to tears and to things. But you're out there and you're saying, well, I really don't know if this works and if this doesn't work, but I'm going to try it anyway. And it's a tried and true, and that's what attracts. Especially when you see your layout behind you, it's a part of it anyway. That attracts it, because you want to see that growth, and you want to see that basic spirit of like, hey, I'm doing this, and if anybody's got any ideas, and I'm not here to grow my channel. I just want to share what I'm doing, and if it helps, so that's a really, that's really a great thing. And it's like Human City Junction, he says, I still don't know how Wilma finds all of his shout outs.
I don't either. It was the funniest thing that day. I think I had, like my dad was probably a subscriber, and a cousin, and maybe a couple of friends or something. It was like 4 or 5. And then I'm working one afternoon, and my phone just starts lighting up like, YouTube, new subscriber. And I'm what happened? And then somebody had commented, hey, Wilmer sent me to you, and somebody else, Wilmer sent me to you. And I was like, oh, how did he find me? It just, there's nothing here. It was one video, and no, really nobody on the channel at all. I literally did it to share with my pop,
I think that I think it was either William A. or Fred E. I thought I had, I think it was Fred E. I thought I scooped Wilma. I thought I found Fred E. Like, oh, I found you. Wilma did, and then what's his name said that Fred E. said that no, Wilma showcased me last week, and I was like, drats.
Yeah, it's I don't know how he does it. It's incredible.
DNL Lines, Curtis is here. Hey, Curtis, welcome Welcome, welcome. You haven't been around in a while. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming in. Curtis was one of our original guys here years ago. Still is a good friend of ours. He has a beautiful layout in Florida.
Nice.
Is your layout? Does it have a name, or are you still pondering?
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards the Manchester and Deepwater. So I model the Richmond, Virginia area in the late 50s. That's where I live, Richmond, Virginia. It's set in the late 50s, Seaboard Airline, sort of loosely based on some real places. I moved a bunch of stuff around, had to obviously compress a ton of things. And the initial section behind me is completely fictitious and made up. Um, Made up industries. There's a line that didn't even exist. I just treated it like a branch line off some existing stuff.
Well, yeah. Indian Head Valley Railroad has joined us, Wilmer, and he answered the question as to how he gets all these. It's called. He says it's an ancient Chinese secret.
I see. It must be.
Yeah. William A. has jumped in the house. Good evening, William A. William A. This is John Arthur that you're looking at, and John lives in your area, and he's an HO enthusiast. So you guys maybe get together at some point. But
yeah, I'm a subscriber of William A's. I've been watching his videos for a long time. I don't know what he's doing, messing around with an N scale layout right now, but I'm just kidding. I'm enjoying watching that. It's a totally different. He's got like a mountain scene and stuff like that going on. It's a little different than the heavy
heavy industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw your latest video on. You did a thing of Google Earth.
Oh yeah.
You showed the whole. That was pretty interesting. The little background on the what do you call it? On what you were doing and how the railroad actually. Everybody's railroad, and what you just said earlier. Everybody's railroad. You have to think of your layout as part of a national layout, a national railroad, and it comes to you. And then you operate within your little world, and then it goes out.
That's right.
So it was interesting to see that. If you guys get a chance, go check his latest video, John Arthur's latest video. And he did a Google map thing and showed how the railroad is. Was that today's? That was a present.
It is, yeah. I'm fortunate that a lot of that line is still there. That's the Seaboard Airline main line runs right through near where I work. I think I mentioned that on the video, but yeah, I've been working remotely, but for a couple of years, I'm walking all those areas, looking at the old grain elevator, looking at Belle Isle Yard that's right there, and just checking it all out. And it just every time I saw something out, that would be cool. I want to model that, or how could I work that in, or just look at it. I am a train guy, right? So I just to be around it was. Has been really fun. So I'm fortunate that line largely is still in place.
Yeah. Michael Lambertino asked, is your layout built on plywood or foam?
Sort of a little of both. The lower level is the base of it is hollow core doors and or bifold doors, and then I've got a layer of foam on top of that, and then those are all mounted to brackets that go into studs in the wall. So for the most part, the wall is holding everything up. And the initial section that's kind of over my shoulder here, that's an 18-inch closet door. And the base of it is the base of the layout. And then I took the back of the other panel and just folded it up at 90 degrees to make a backdrop.
Right.
That was actually I wrote it down. It was in Model Railroader in September of 2017. The article was layout in a weekend. And that's how that guy built everything. I thought that was such a cool concept and an easy way to get a little shelf, which is all that is, started, and just to do something. I've been kind of watching videos and reading Model Railroader and, for years on and off. And I had enough wall space that I could do something like that and just dip my toe and just start with something. And so anyway, that's the construction method on this piece, and I use that in a bunch of other places as well. So it's basically door, foam, and then track right on that, scenery on the foam.
Dustin's N Scale Railroad. Hey, Dustin, how are you? He says, I like that lighting you have.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's just track lights from Home Depot or Lowe's or something, and just LED bulbs in there. They go all the way around. So, nothing fancy.
The Human City Junction says the stream just went offline. Remember, I told you don't.
Oh yeah, I won't do that.
No, I think we're back.
You made the face.
No, I think it's. Oh, look at this! She threw me right under the bus. We don't even know. Look at this.
Yeah, you got me too relaxed.
It's back. 9:21 p.m. right out here, and we need to do another shout out to Morgan and William, who are watching downstairs. Hey, Morgan and William, I got a joke for you. What do you got when you got 6 ducks in a box? Listen, I'll wait all day until you know. What happens when you have 6 ducks in a box? You don't know? Okay, I'll tell you. You have a box of quackers. I'm telling you, I'm killing myself here. A box of quackers. Did you hear me, Morgan and William? I know your wife Leslie is rolling her eyes right now.
Probably.
Who is this guy? Who is he? Anyway, here we go again. Hello, Brian W. And Marty. I wanted to let you know, John, we have Marty all the way from Australia.
Oh, nice.
He's watching. So we don't have to worry about the world ending today because.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you tell us about the future? What happens?
No. All we know is that the world's not ending today because it's already tomorrow.
Okay.
So we're good. Now, on your layout, now obviously you built that first one on a door, and Human City Junction, he puts the stop sign up for my jokes. Funny, very funny. So you started with that section that's directly behind you.
Yes. And we had a trip last summer. I turned 40 last summer. And so we took I haven't had 2 weeks off of work since I was 17 in a row. So we took 2 weeks and we went to the Outer Banks in North Carolina. And I took some books and magazines and my phone with YouTube on it and started thinking about a yard, and then started messing around with track on the floor and how much space do I have in here. And by August, I got, thank you, Leslie, we were able to negotiate this what used to be a guest room into what it is now. And I started construction on, right now it's basically an around the walls 12 by 14 roughly, but it is basically shelf style all the way around. Very similar construction to what's behind me. I'm not a great carpenter, so I'll let the factory do that for me, and I'll just put track down.
2 questions. Well, one is basically some information. Marty from 1107 from down under in Australia says that the lottery numbers are 3, 6.
Wait. Let me write that down.
Okay. 3, 6, 14.
I need to get another locomotive. I need to go win.
33, 38, 44, and 1. Thank you, Marty. Thank you. Appreciate that. I just found an interesting fact out today, Marty, that Australia in width is bigger than the moon, the face of the moon. Bigger this way.
Is it really?
Yeah, well, it's a Snapple fact.
Well, it must be true.
It must be true. Human City Junction, Heath, a good friend here, my neighbor in New York City, he wants to know, how big is the layout right now? Is the entire loop completed now? I saw you working on the expansion. So it's a 3-part question. First, how big is the layout right now?
It's roughly 14 by 12, the area I'm in. The layout, the loop is completed. I just finished it about a week ago, 2 weeks maybe. So very recently. What was the third part?
He said, I saw you working on the new expansion.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that was the third side of 4. And then behind me here, behind Manchester, is staging. So I have a continuous connection through there to make the loop. Really, it's point to point with the continuous connection kind of over my shoulder behind the backdrop and staging there.
Well, the next question is from Brad Lebret, and he says, would it be possible for you to pan your camera around the room so we can see the layout.
Of course. Let me. I'm on a laptop, so bear with me. This is going to be.
You're all taking our Dremel, whatever it is. The Dramamine.
So here, I'll hold it like this. Well, that's the original module.
That's the original one you started with.
Right there. Yeah.
Now, just for sake of argument, let people know that that long building is the original REA Express from Walters, right?
That's right. Yeah. I cut it in half. Instead of making a, kind of a squat rectangle, I cut it in half and made a long flat out of it.
Nice. Very nice. And what is it that you're building in the corner there?
That's been, if I were to show you a picture from August of 2017, it would look just like that. That is
Really?
a Walters kit that, again, is supposed to be a rectangle, and I've been messing around with trying to make an L-shaped kit out of that. That's going to be a brewery.
What is that? Procrastination Brewery?
Well, I think all the rest of this happened first.
Okay.
So this is basically a branch line switching operation now. But the track kind of comes over here, and I'm trying to see what the camera's showing at the same time as showing it to you guys. So then behind that rock face there, if you can see it, there's two tracks. The one in the front goes to the module I just showed, and the one in the back disappears into the woods and goes into a hole through the backdrop to staging. So then if you follow from out of there, this is the main coming around here. And this is where the scenery ends. So from here on out, it's just, I did paint everything brown. I couldn't live with pink foam and be operating on Mars forever. So I painted everything brown before I did anything. And then I started putting track on it. So the main comes around into the yard. So the yard has 7 classification tracks, 2 arrival departure tracks, an industrial spur in the back with a bunch of industries and such that it'll serve. And as I come over this way, the track nearest us coming around this turn here is the drill track, and the main is in the back. And what's in the corner there is just going to be, I'll probably park tank cars and covered hoppers and stuff like that, just for locomotive service. But I'm not going to probably put any buildings back there. This wasn't a major yard for the Seaboard by any stretch of the imagination. Then this is where I did the recent video on layout expansion. I had built to about where that locomotive is parked when I did that first YouTube video. So the rest of this has been built in the last couple of weeks. So this area here has a passing siding. Those 2 tracks there with all the missing ties, that's going to be where the grain elevator goes. And then the turnout there where there's no track off the end of it, that's going to be the final construction that'll be over in this corner. And that will be the deep water terminal, kind of like a pier type area. And then in the foreground here, the track coming around here is just the main, which heads around the back, behind Manchester, and into staging, which is back here.
Oh, the staging, nice. Now you can approach that staging from the where you showed us where it goes behind the bush, the rock.
Yeah, it punches through. So if I go up real high, it's basically I'm around 4 walls, and this is behind Manchester.
Right.
All the way across over there and punches through the backdrop, like you say, behind that rock cut.
Right. Dwight of Northern Star Railroads wants to know, what is your minimum radius curves? 22 inches. 22.
I think I have a spot in staging on the drop gate where I cheated a little bit. But out on the layout itself, it's a minimum of 22.
Dave's BNSFN Scale Railroad says you can't have his craft brewery until he finishes his work on the building.
Yeah.
Yank, you are naked 4 says, I don't have a branch line. I just have a branch. LOL. Let's see. Human City Junction says, I thought you bought the foam already brown. Painting the pink foam brown makes more sense.
Yep. I painted the backdrop and the the foam in the front of the layout first, just to, I don't know. The layout I had at my last house, it was Mars. I was operating and stuff, but it was pink everywhere. It looked like Mars. Last I checked, Mars doesn't have trains, so I wanted to.
No.
Yeah.
The rover on it, but
Right. And I've actually painted the backdrop twice. If I show you older pictures, it was a much darker blue than this. It was way too dark. The color said "Perfect Sky" was the name of the color. Well, it wasn't perfect. It was way too dark.
yeah.
So I repainted it once I finished all the bench work here to extend. I did the bench work all the way around first, and then started with the track. And once I had finished it, I went ahead and repainted, including the original thing, a much lighter shade. But I'd like eventually to have a photo backdrop. I just haven't got there yet.
Well, we're gonna have James Adams on it.
Yeah, when you were saying that, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, we have him. He does backdrops, scenery, and stuff like that. Fred White's got to go. He's got to go hang out with the family. Go ahead there, Fred. Thank you for joining us. Let's see who else is on board with any questions. What's the worst thing about model railroading and working on your layout that you really don't like doing, but you know you have to do?
I'm not trying to cop out of the question, but I would say that there are so many different skills involved and especially as I've gotten to something like this, where I've got it at multiple different phases, if I get tired of doing one thing, I can pivot and do something else. Like if I was doing DCC decoders recently, and I kind of got sick of that. So then I went back to laying track, and then, as I'm getting sick of that, I've got designs on repainting a caboose and doing something totally different. So I would say probably bench work, and I was very happy when I was totally done with bench work. But even there, when I was tired of cutting wood, I'd work on a kit.
Yeah. Okay.
But I like that there's so many different components.
Yeah, so many different aspects to the hobby. What's the thing you like doing?
I love scenery. I love making scenery.
Do you?
I do.
Arts and crafts, huh?
What's that?
Arts and crafts.
Yeah. The last time I had a layout, you didn't have super trees, and they just look incredible compared to the clumps of foam and sticks and stuff I used to try to make trees out of. And yeah, between that and all the European products, all the mats and the static grass and all that stuff, and layering all the textures and stuff, that's my favorite part.
Now, does Morgan and William really like working, or do they help you on the layout?
William definitely has helped me do scenery before. And both of them, once I completed the loop and we were able to run continuous, the first night we had that, I had them up here, and we just use our cell phones as throttles. Well, they don't have cell phones, but I have an old one in mine, and then I was using the Zephyr itself for me to use as a throttle. But I had just finished my third DCC sound install and completed the loop, and the three of us just sat up here probably for an hour and just ran 3 locomotives. It was great to test everything, make sure I had the power and the wiring done all correctly and everything, and we just had a ball. So yeah, I would say now that we can run trains, they're into it.
You know something, John? It's not important to be the perfect dad. It's just important to be present in their lives.
Yeah.
And this is what you're doing. So
I try to be. I try to.
Absolutely. So it's a hobby that brings families together. Freddie's in the house. Freddie came in. Let's see who else. John 2618. Have you ever seen John 2618?
I have. Yeah, he's got the shelf layout in an apartment. His scenery is incredible.
Yes,
he's one of the guys I've been really enjoying his technique with the snow and stuff. Yeah.
Have you seen Freddie?
I don't think I have.
Oh, you have to go see Freddie. Freddie, he has a good layout. It's called Fred E.
Okay.
Play on the words, Fred E. But he's recently now doing a series of things saying how I hate my layout.
How I hate my layout.
Yeah, he's the only he's my layout's called South Brooklyn Railroad, aka Catastrophe Railroad.
Yeah.
That could go wrong, will go wrong. Fred's taken it to a different level, and I love the fact that Fred is so transparent. He has a great looking HO scale. He's on the same line of William A, where it's a 4x8, but they've crammed so much stuff into it.
Yeah.
Interesting operations and everything, both of them.
Yeah.
So go check him out. And who else? You on Naked Force says to Samurai, he says, I have a huge collection of boxes with trains in them. And it's interesting. Dekoku Samurai says, I think everyone has more train cars than they can run. You're absolutely, that is a true fact.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I'm starting to set up for, I think I mentioned to you when we were talking the other day, my dad's supposed to come up at the end of the month, and we're going to do our first, bigger operating session now that the whole thing is much more complete. And so I've been going around and I was trying to take inventory of hopefully my wife's not still streaming, of the cars that I have all over the place. And it took me 3 pages on a legal pad to write the road name and car number, and I was just trying to take inventory so I can start setting up, for operations. And it doesn't look that full, but once you start writing them all down, and it's more than I realized.
Yeah.
I'm sure she realizes.
IMRRO.com, Eric Hall. Welcome, Eric. We have, he came late to the party. So I'm talking with John Arthur, and John Arthur has a YouTube channel called, aptly enough, John Arthur. And right now, at the start of this show, he started out with 41 subscribers. He's now jumped up to about 45. Hopefully, we've broken the 50 mark. So he's got some pretty good content on there. And he's an HO scaler. He does the Seaboard. Is that correct? Northern Seaboard. And it's an HO scale. And it's basically, he can do continuous running, point to point. And yeah, that's basically where we're at right now. I have a lot of Dave BNSF scale, N scale says, I have a ton of tank cars I've been trying to body mount couplers on. Can only handle 2 or 3 a day. Yep.
I did a couple of roundhouse kits, I think, and they're beautiful. But there was, I did 3 of them at a time, and I had to take it in chunks. There's so many little, even in HO scale, all the little railings and they're beautiful. I love the cars, but I hear you.
Yeah.
I could just blast through that. I had to take breaks.
Eric Hall wanted to know, John Arnold, the dad from the Wonder Years? No, John Arthur. If I said John Arnold, then I apologize. It was John Arthur, but he's not from the Wonder Years.
No.
Hey, guess who just came in the house? The Nearly Historical Railroad, Don G, everybody. Round of applause. Hey. Are you familiar with the Nearly Historical Railroad?
I am. I just recently came across them in the last few weeks. I really like how Don and I think it's Don and his dad work together. And I think there's another guy that helps him out too. But I love the father-son time.
Yeah, that other guy. There's that other guy. Let's see if we get another guy. Let's see. Hold on. You see, now you started it, John. You started. So we have to do it. And here. Oh, you'll see, John. You'll see. You will see.
I ruined it.
No, you didn't ruin anything. In fact, you made this more interesting. Wait, where are you? Come on. Historical Railroad, guys, you guys got to subscribe to them.
Seriously. It's really good stuff.
And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Scott. Oh, wait, what happened here? What happened? Oh, here we go. I did it wrong. Scott is here. Can you see him?
Hi, Scott. Sorry, I couldn't remember your name.
Scott, that's Scott. Scott is here. Scott is here. Scott is in the house, everybody.
I love what they're doing, recycling old, like something from an old layout, and I just think that's such a unique take on things, and the mix with, I think they've got some narrow gauge and standard, and I've really enjoyed watching their stuff. It's really cool.
Go back onto the Model Railroading Live playlist. Model Railroading Live, the #1 show, model railroading show in the world. Did I mention that? Go back to a thing. We did an interview with Don and his dad, and it was really, really so nice. And he'll give you the origins of how it all came together. But anyway, yeah, check it out. Check it out. Ron, Neely. Andrew Gilmore, good evening. Another gentleman from down under in Australia. You are becoming famous, John.
Worldwide.
Who else? Arthur Gilmore and Ron Bryce. Yes. Yeah, Ron Bryce and Arthur Gilmore, too. That's 3 Australians.
Nice.
Guys, this is John Arthur. He's John Arthur is his YouTube channel name. He's has an HO scale railroad based on the Seabourn Railroad, and it's an HO scale. And how big is it?
About 12 by 14. Kind of an around the walls.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's around the walls, and we just did a walk around on it, and it's, how big is it now?
12 by 14.
12 by 14 with a staging yard that sits right behind John's scenic board there,
Right behind me.
Yeah, so it's really a nice looking layout. And John you're really not that new to it.
I'm not new to, I mean, I've never had a railroad like this. I've never had one to the point of completion of what's over my shoulder. And I've been watching a lot of other guys for a long time. So yeah, I didn't just start in the hobby, but this is a different scale for me. Is trying to, and that's one of the things I do in the videos is as I'm trying to think through things and I don't know what to do, or, you know, as you watch one of them, you'll see sort of the thought process. And I probably don't always land on the easiest way or the right way to do something, but I'm just trying to share what I did and why did I do it and what did I do, and if to the extent people find that interesting, I'll keep doing it. I'm having fun. And, yeah,
absolutely. I think you're absolutely correct. I think that's the only way you learn. When this is all said, when all said and done, when COVID-19 is finally petered out or whatever it does, and we get back to Interact, is Dad going to play an intricate part of this? And by the way, what is your father's name? I'm sorry.
His name is John Arthur.
John Arthur as well. Yeah. John Arthur Sr. What will Dad be an integral part of this as well?
Yeah, I hope so. He's operated with me before, and I'd like to keep him doing that. And I think the way I've built the railroad, it could keep as many as 3 or 4 people busy. And if I'm just up here by myself, I can run trains in sequence, bring things in from staging to the yard, break up trains, run the local, bring it back, break it up, bring another one, because I've got 4 different trains. I'm pointing like this because they're coming from both sides.
Right.
4 different trains come onto the yard, and then everything happens there before it goes out into the various, branch lines and industries. So I could do it in sequence if I had to, but I hope my dad comes.
Right. I'd really like to have. I'd like to have you guys back on as a father and son. We've had 2 sets of father and sons, Don and his father, and George and his father, Wally, from GFW Trains. They run an O scale.
Okay.
You know.
I will warn you, my dad's probably a little camera shy. So
we can stay off to the side. We can have him at
okay.
protection witness thing.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. We can do that. Eric Hall says, now pimping out a past guest during someone else's time. Oh boy, Don. Don had his time. Don is last month's news. I don't know about that. Historical Railroad says, I am old news. I just subscribed to John's channel. Good for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And what else? The guest tonight looks like he's having fun model railroading. Well, are you having fun?
That's why we're here. Why else would we do this? Yeah.
I have to tell you, when John and I first got in touch, I sent an email. I think I don't send an email. I sent it on your comment page.
Yeah.
You can reach out to me, and then we finally hooked up on the phone. And John was like, we talked for a couple of minutes, and John said, "Well, why do you want me on your show?" I don't know anything. I've seen the people you've had on your show, and
yeah. There's the major leagues, and then there's me.
Well, no. And then I said to John, John, when you're doing it, do you have fun? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, then that's why I want you on the show, because you absolutely sound like you're having fun on your video. And the beauty of it is, like, when you were doing the drop gate, lift gate, drop gate, whatever we want to call it, you were out there. You guys got to go check that out. John put down a track, and he was doing the drop gate comes down, track ends. So he had a jeweler's saw, and he was cutting it and to make the cut, and he had it panned on the jeweler's saw, and he said it wasn't really grabbing the rail, and he said, so I had to go to the big stuff, and he moves over, and there's this giant hacksaw.
Right. Which was a mistake. That was a mistake.
I was watching
the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's all in that video.
Right. I was screaming, no, don't do that. Go to the Dremel. Go to the Dremel. We got there eventually. Yeah, we did. He did it. He really did a good job. And the beauty of it is, you're what do you call it? You overcame. The beauty of why I liked your videos is you go in with sincere trepidation. It's basically the inner voice is saying to the viewing public, I have really seriously no idea what I'm about to do.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway.
Yep.
And then it turns out to be, hey, this wasn't as bad as it seemed. Right? Because after that video where you do the drop gate, you say, I did it with the Dremel tool. I cut it away, and it was a little raggedy. But you know what? I can fix this. And
I did. I tore a bunch of track out. Right. I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
Yes.
Just do it again.
It is the worst what is the worst that can happen? It's,
I just let everybody know, a couple of you just mentioned that we're not on Twitch. Right now, YouTube has got us screwed up on their streaming keys, and we cannot stream simultaneous. So I'm just having to stream on YouTube for right now until we figure out a workaround. And so just want to let everybody know. All right, back to the show.
Okay. Now you just told everybody in the community that? Oh, okay. Yeah, right. You. That's me.
There was another mistake on that drop gate that I show on the video, where I ended up with something like a 15-inch radius curve because I was paying attention to the wrong things, and I tore it out and redid it, and then it ended up probably around 21. So the question was asked earlier, what's your minimum radius? Out on the layout, it's 22. There's one track on that drop gate that I had to cheat a little bit to make it fit, and it's 21. And it's a track that's staging and probably doesn't need to be used. That's not my continuous run track. I can use that track to run out the other way, and I think it'll be okay.
Michael Lambertini wants to know, what type of track do you use? Code 83 or 100?
Yeah, it's all Code 83. The flex track is Atlas. The turnouts on the section behind me and in the back of the yard are Walters Shinohara, DCC friendly. And then anything I bought new, I bought Micro Engineering. I don't have Tortoise machines or toggle switches or anything. They're all hand throws. And I don't really love the giant Caboose Industries ground throws all over the place. And the micro engineering ones have a spring load in them, so you can put the detail with them without having to have that giant ground throw and still use your finger and snap it back and forth.
Right. Oh, good. And it's all Atlas track. And what power is your you have a DCC system?
I do, yeah. It's a Digitrax Zephyr system, the old Zephyr.
Oh, okay. That's the how many amps is that?
I'm not sure.
Because
I ran 3 locomotives with the boys the other day. That wasn't a problem. How many? 2 amps, I'm hearing. Okay. That was a leftover component of that layout I had in my first house. I did buy that and a couple other things, and I kept it all, even though I had to tear the layout down when we moved. So I tried to use as much of what I already had to build this layout as I could.
Okay. Eminem Rails is in the house. You ever watch Eminem Rails, Mark?
I've seen his channel. Yeah.
Very, 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 very good.
Yes.
He cannot sing. I just saw a video.
Well, it's a good thing it's a model railroading channel.
Yes. Yeah, but I love Mark. Go check out Mark. Let's see. Anyone have a link for John 2618? Anyone have a link for John's channel? Can someone put John's channel link up there? Yeah. Eminem said, he says, if you're, what did he say here? He's such a nice guy, Mark. We're going to collaborate on a few videos, I think.
Cool.
Says Eminem Rail says, once you talk to Big Bill, you're in the major leagues.
Thank you.
But yeah, so like when we first talked, John was like, "Why do you want me on your show?" And it was like, because you're the kind of guy that we all want to aspire to be, because you got that energy and you got that enthusiasm, and you're not going to make, you're going to make a ton of mistakes. That's why I like Fred E's videos, because they're transparent.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that wasn't supposed to happen. The train went onto another track, derailed, everything fell apart.
Yeah.
I saw a video today, N scale at 24. He's that college kid, and he has a coal dumper on his layout, and he actually had a friend of his. They actually set it up on a computer where it's censored, and the track goes up and the train goes in, the clamps it and rotates it and dumps the coal.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was that the train went in, but it didn't go all the way to the thing where it could grab, and it went half. And it literally it bent the coal car. But
whoops.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think these are the things that we as model railroaders, want to see. Because I know when I first got back into the hobby, I was in it in 1980 up until about 83, and then I got out because I had work and had a little kid at the time.
Yeah.
Well, you know how that is.
I do. Just coming out of that. I'm still have work, but the kids are old enough now where I can start to do some things for myself again. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I understand completely.
So it works out so that you can. But I remember when the advent of YouTube, when it came out, I remember watching all these guys in their trains running flawlessly, and I was like,
yeah,
that really can't be real. I mean, I'm sure it is, and I'm sure people's layouts do run that way, but mine doesn't. And then you work the kinks out. So it's nice to see, the mistakes and how you overcome the mistakes, and that's the attraction. Like I said to your videos, is that you're willing to put it out there. Freddie, the same thing. Put it out there. William A. Nearly Historical, all of them. And Eminem.
Yeah.
He did his outtakes on the circle. The train went off the rail, and it's good to see. And then you're like, wow, that gives you confidence, because
yeah,
it may not seem like a confidence builder, But it is, because when you see the flaw, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm not the only guy.
Right. Right. Well, and exactly. And you want it to be approachable.
Right.
You're not gonna. Nobody's I'm no expert, and most of us aren't. But you're not gonna, the first time you do something, do it perfectly. I mean, you can watch other guys do it and read about it, but until you go do it yourself, like, there's a different level of knowledge that's gonna come just from doing it. So, to the extent that that's interesting, and people want to see that, I am happy to share, and I'm very transparent. I want it to be approachable.
Sure. Human City Junction, my friend Heath, says, I have never, I tell you, made a mistake while model railroading. Never. Well, at least not in the last 5 seconds.
Right. Exactly. I've never had a derailment in the last 5 minutes.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I've never had a finger push any of my trains. Never.
Right.
Never did that. I hope William and Morgan are still up and watching.
I don't know. It's quiet, but that doesn't mean that it's getting late. It's getting their bedtime's 8:30 maybe. It's getting
They got
some things.
Let's see. Human City says, why are you naked for? Says at Human City Junction, I don't make mistakes. I make an endless series of experiments that usually don't work as intended.
Well put.
Yes.
It's not mistakes. It's called learning.
Yes, exactly. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times. Right? Alexander Graham Bell, if he didn't spill that acid, Watson downstairs would have never known to come up and help him if he didn't yell and the connectors didn't work. So Jakku Samurai says, mistakes can sometimes lead to an interesting thing that you might decide to do with your layout that you never thought of doing it. True.
Yeah.
True. Michael Lambertini wants to know, do you use Cork Roadbed or is it right on the foam?
It's right on the foam. This is intended to be, especially where I started, industrial, and some of the track I've intentionally gone in and turned the flex track over and removed big swaths of ties and then cut them and spread them out. I'm trying to make it look a little beat up. This is not high ball and main line. This is intended to be a pretty big junction for several different branches and stuff, but there's no passengers. This is not mainline railroading.
And what is the era that you're modeling in?
The late 1950s. So for Seaboard Airline, that's all diesel by then, but all first generation diesels.
Oh, okay. So it's not going to be any mixture of steam and.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Cool.
The Seaboard, from what I don't pretend to be an expert, but I've been reading and stuff, and I think that they were sort of in trouble, and then World War II hit, and some of their fleet they never really had a bunch of the super modern, superpower steam. And so when World War II hit and they got busy, they were pretty early to dieselize in the 40s and into the early 50s, where CNO or some of those other railroads were still running steam into the mid 50s, not Seaboard. So that's from a book. I wasn't there to see it.
Right. Freddie Model Railroad says, experience helps you recognize a mistake when you make it again.
Yeah. And I can say that going back and looking at my first track work and the soldering and stuff that I might have done back then versus what I see now, there's some parts I might want to redo here and there, or at least consider that, but I haven't yet. I haven't torn anything out behind me yet.
Yeah. Human City Junction says, I sometimes have to make the mistake a few times before I realize what the actual mistake was in order to correct it.
Okay. So, I probably have a little bit of stubbornness where I might need to make the mistake once or twice before I'm ready to admit that it was a mistake. But it's good to have some self-awareness and pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah. Who? Tom Case. Oh yeah, Tom Case says, quote, there are no mistakes, just new parts, unquote. Keith Moon from The Who. Yeah, true. Nothing is life-threatening in model railroad.
No, it's we're here for fun and try it. If it doesn't work, then rip it out, do it again.
Well, when I tell you, from my experience from coaching baseball, my mantra from the third base coaching line was with a 3-2 count, loaded bases, bottom of the seventh inning, which is the only bottom of the ninth inning.
Yeah, right.
Loaded bases, down by 1 run. I would yell at the batter. He'd step out of the batter's box, and I go, "Oh, this ain't brain surgery, son.
Yeah,
Nobody gonna die if you strike out.
that's right.
Hit. Be the hero.
That's right.
I want to be with you after this game." You know, and sure enough, boom. You know, we didn't strike out. But and then I'd call him up the next morning and say, "Hey, look at that. The sun came out." It's a good day. And it's the same thing here. This isn't, you know, in the times that we are in right now, if we can find a little refuge in our layout room, and as Miles Hale says at the end of his videos, go down to your train room and let it put a smile on your face. Absolutely, absolutely true. Absolutely true.
That's why we're here.
Exactly.
If you're not smiling while you're in your train room, why are you in your train room?
William A. just got John to 50 subs, bro.
Oh, thanks, William.
There we go. Remember, in order to do good content, in order to have a good channel and build your channel, you have to have good content, good video. And John Arthur does, as well as a host of other guys out there that are modeling. Most of the gentlemen that I mentioned who are in this Q&A tonight have exceeded that ability and have done some really good stuff. And John Arthur, I think we can add you to that list.
Oh, thank you.
Extraordinarily good modelers, and you're going to get there. And I think you're going to do well. And I think your enthusiasm and your insights into things are going to be very beneficial. And it was such a pleasure having you on the show, and an honor actually of having you taking time out of your busy schedule with your family, Morgan and William. And thank you, Leslie, for letting us have your husband for this hour and 5. So thank you so much, John, for being a part of this.
Well, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I just want to give you, what's that, John? What are you talking about? I have to go to the bathroom. We're ending it when I say we're ending it, John. But anyway, again, thank you. I just want to give you guys out there a heads up on Ralph's Weathering. Railroad Empires this Saturday, how we build them with Lloyd, Timothy, Andy, and Robert Holman. They're going to be on this Saturday, the 13th of June at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a 10-part series. I believe this is the 4th series. I don't know what they're covering. I think it's track, but it's going to be interesting. So join in 9 p.m. for Railroad Empires on this Saturday, the 13th. On the 17th, we're going to be doing Ralph's Weathering. Ralph, a.k.a. the Mudfather, will be on, and he'll be doing his weathering channel. And I don't know what he'll be up to weathering, but whatever it is, it turns out to be a Picasso when it's all finished and done. Not meaning it's disjointed. It's a Rembrandt. It's beautiful. So he turns the pretty shiny thing into an ugly beat up thing, which gives a character to the railroad. That's on the 17th of June at 9 p.m. And then on the 18th, that's a Thursday, we'll have Johnny's Train Talk Show. We'll be on. Just be aware that Johnny is going every other week now to the summertime until the end of the summer. This is just to give him a break. And, we all want to enjoy the outdoors since being cooped up the last 2.5 months and stuff. So Johnny's Train Talk Show will be on the Thursday, the 18th of June. And you guys can be on like with me and John are on right now. If you have a webcam, good internet, you can be on. You can do the bring and brag stuff. Come on down and share it. Pull out a soda pop from the old cold case there. Pull up a chair around the checkerboard and talk about trains. Anything you want to do. That's June 18th, Johnny's Train Talk Show. And then on the 24th, we come back with Who's Big Bill Talking To with John Adams. John Adams was originally supposed to be on earlier last month, but due to an electrical storm in his community, his power out. He had a power outage and could not get on, so he'll be on. He does model railroading backdrops.com, does model railroading backdrops. So we're going to have a discussion with him and his business, and he also does planning. He also does designs of layouts. So that's another thing that we'll be dealing with. And that's about it. So I want to thank you guys out there in the community for being on. I want to thank you, John, again, for being a part of this. It was an honor and a pleasure. I want to thank you guys out there in the Q&A for being a part of this, because if you weren't, we'd be talking to dead air. So with that said, you guys be safe. You guys be well, but most of all, please be blessed and safe. All right? Until then, we'll see you guys on the radio. Goodbye.